What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday. In today's video, I am excited. I'm finally going to start the Total Strength Density Training with Andy collection on Peloton. I feel like I've been talking about this for quite some time now, saying I always wanted to take it. And today is the day that I'm starting. The description of this collection is, welcome to Total Strength Density Training. This 4-week program is designed to build muscle through fast-paced full-body workouts that will push you to your limit. Peloton, get ready to rep it out. Which sounds a little suspicious. I'm not usually crazy about like fast-paced workouts, but I do love Andy, and I've seen just rave reviews of this online, so I'm really excited to just dive right in and see what it's about. It is interesting because this is not a program, but there are like very specific weekend day training. So for example, it's broken down, there's a welcome block that just has an intro and then a warm up, a stretch, and a mobility class. And then there's like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And each week has 3 classes in it that tells you like what day to do it on. So it is a program, but it is under collections, and it's at the bottom of collections too. Like you really got to scroll to find it, which this is interesting. Like why not just make this a program? But it does fit into my schedule well because I'm going to have to take a week break between week 2 and week 3. So it's nice that, you know, it's a little more flexible, always down for that. But we're going to start week 1 today. I'm going to start with the 5-minute intro to density training just to understand a little bit more. I think that's mostly talking. It might be some like light warm up. And then I'm going to get into week 1, day 1, which is 30-minute density training by Andy Speer, tagged intermediate from May 15th, 2023. The description is, this full body workout uses a series of heavy weighted hinge and press movements to improve strength and increase volume from week to week. It also seems like it might be a benchmark. It says week 1 is our benchmark. After Andy demos the movements, your goal is to complete 9 rounds. So we'll see how today goes. I'm very interested to just get right on into it. So let's hit the mat and knock out week 1, day 1. I feel like a lot of people commented and told me to take density training, but man, I wish I took this sooner. I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. It's definitely a little different than what I typically do. I typically gravitate towards splits, but I'm really excited. I feel like this was a good first class, and I'm excited to see like how this progresses. I have a pretty good idea, but I'm interested to see like how my weights progress as we do this. So the 5-minute intro class was good. He basically just talked through it. You definitely don't need to be in front of like weights or be in exercise clothes to listen to it, unless if you want a demo of like how the guide works. But he just gives a brief overview of the program. Essentially, this program is going to be like long AMRAPs where you try to do as many rounds as possible, but like not in the just get in as many rounds and like do it poorly. Like take the time, make sure your form is right, take breaks if you need. And then every week we either try to progress number of rounds or weight, to my understanding. We'll see as it progresses. But then, so I went into week 1, day 1. We did a little bit of a warm up. He did comment that you should be doing a like 5-minute warm up before this. I personally don't think that's really needed because you got a 90-second warm up, and then before you start the first 10-minute AMRAP, you do like a sample of the moves. So that's also kind of a warm up. So I like felt fine not doing a warm up on top of it, but it's definitely personal preference. So the first big AMRAP that we did was deadlifts and overhead presses, 6 of each. And we practiced that twice over the course of like 2 minutes. So again, a little bit more of a warm up. And then we went into the AMRAP. I really did not know what to expect for this. And I think I picked weights a little too easy. I did 15 pounds for shoulder presses and 20 pounds for deadlifts. And 15 pounds is probably right for shoulder presses, but 20 pounds for deadlifts is quite light for me, but I just really like didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how the 10 minutes would feel. And I just wanted to keep it on the lighter side because I figured if I went like way too heavy out of the gate, then it would set me up to be in not a good mood for the rest of the class. So now I know I did 13 rounds, which is quite high at the end of the class. Like after the class ended and we were stretching out, I believe Andy said if you did more than 8 rounds, you need to go up in weight. So I definitely need to go up in weight next week. And to my understanding, we repeat the same thing every week. So week 2 of day 1, we will do this AMRAP again. So now I know that I can probably push weight. I think that I'll push up to 20 on shoulders and 25 on deadlifts. That'll definitely be a significant push, but it does sound like I'm way over the expected amount of reps. So we'll see how that goes next week. But it felt good. Like it wasn't super easy. At the same time, you are doing 10 minutes of work. So I did get the work in today. It was just more rounds than what he was going for. And then the second AMRAP was 6 front lunges on the right side, 6 on the left side, and then 6 rows. I really did not know what weights to do for this because I feel like lunges are kind of hard for me. And he said it was fine to use medium weights because you're doing like all the work on one side and all the work on the other side, which does make it harder. So I did 15 pounds for the lunges and then 20 pounds for the rows. We did 6 of everything and we had the little like sample sets before we got into the AMRAP, which I really like because you can kind of just get like a feel for the moves. Then we went into the 10-minute AMRAP and I did 9 rounds. And at the end, Andy said that if you did more than 7 rounds, you need to go up in weight. So I will probably push up to 20 pounds for the lunges and keep 20 at the rows. I feel like 20 pounds for the rows felt good and hard for me. But you know, we'll see when we revisit it. I feel like it might take a while for me to like find the correct weight. But first off, this is a 4-week program, so there is a little bit of time. And second off, I definitely see the value of retaking this already. So today was a good day. We wrapped up, we finished, and I'm really excited for the rest of the week. I'm very curious to see how it goes. And I really like that the AMRAPs here, you switch between doing a leg movement and then a upper body movement because it does feel like you get a little bit of break. And then Andy also encourages you to take breaks whenever you need. So although it is an AMRAP, he's like, don't think of it as an AMRAP, think of it as a rep block, which I do think is kind of a shift in mindset, but it's a useful one in this program. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I feel like if the difficulty isn't super high, then it's because I'm not doing it right, which I do think I went a little light today. So for difficulty today, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. But I think once I start pushing the weights, it's going to get a lot more difficult. And enjoyability, I would give it like a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed today. And I also feel like I really like predictable things. And this program seems like it's going to be extremely predictable. So I really anticipate my enjoyability to be very high during this program. It is now 2 days later. It's Wednesday morning and I'm ready to tackle day 2 of this collection, which is a 20-minute density training week 1, day 2 by Andy Speer from May 15th, 2023. And I'm not gonna lie, my legs were sore yesterday from day 1, but I'm feeling better. I am ready to go. And I did take a little peek at the class plan, and today looks like it's an arms and core day. So we'll see how it goes. I definitely want to try to push a little bit heavier. I think last class I was, getting used to it, and I definitely aired on the lightweight side, so I'm ready to push it today. So let's hit the mat and knock out week 1, day 2. That was an intense 20 minutes. I was thinking because it was 10 minutes shorter, it would be a little easier today, but no, we really got after it, which in my opinion marks a good 20-minute class. Although it was short, we worked the entire time. So we started off, we had a 2-minute warm up. That was, fine. We warmed up the body. And then we started doing demoing for the first AMRAP. We just had one 10-minute AMRAP today, and it was an arm circuit. So our 3 moves were bicep curls, tricep kickbacks, and reverse flies. and we're supposed to do 8 of these. And I tried to push weight. I did 15 pounds for bicep curls and tricep kickbacks and 10 pounds for reverse flies. Before we started, I was thinking about using 15 pounds for the reverse flies as well, but Andy was like, you should be lighter on reverse flies. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna listen to Andy. And he was right. The set was very hard. 15 pounds for curls and tricep kickbacks are definitely a push for me already. So even though the reverse flies might have felt a little easy, it was nice to have a little bit of a break. And although all of these movements use different arm muscles, it still felt like I got more burnt out in this AMRAP than the past 2 AMRAPs where we were like switching between lower body and upper body. So it definitely felt effective. We did those moves like one time and then we had a break and then went into the AMRAP. I did 6 rounds and that was a struggle. I was definitely taking some breaks to like reset the grip strength. But yeah, I was proud of myself for getting the 6 rounds. At the end of the class, Andy was like, if you did 7 rounds, go up and wait. If not, try to beat what you did today next week. So I'll just be trying to beat the 6 pounds. I don't feel like I could go up and wait. So I was totally fine with him saying that. And then at the end, we had 4 minutes left and we did a little core burnout where we did 30 seconds of a forearm plank, which I'm so happy it was a forearm plank because I was like, if this is a straight arm plank, I'm literally not going to be able to do it. My arms are shaking, but a forearm plank I can do. And then 30 seconds of tuck ups. And we just alternated between the two for 4 minutes. And I like that. It was a good little like burnout at the end. And like, in my opinion, forearm planks are pretty easy. It's like a little bit of active recovery. So it felt good to like switch between my two. My tuck ups were looking a little rough towards, minute 3, minute 4, but for a core section, I feel like I really don't have complaints about this as someone who does not like core. And then the class was over. Definitely a quick one, but really effective. After this class, I just went into immediately a 10-minute full body stretch on Peloton. I usually stretch myself out, but I'm like, man, I feel a lot of burnout in my arms. Like, let's just stretch everything out. And it felt so good. And it was nice because today was like a little bit shorter, so there was more time to do a longer stretch. So I'm feeling good. Day 2 wrapped up. Enjoyability, I would give it like a 7 out of 10. Arms and core are definitely not my favorite, but I did like the structure. I do like Andy. Difficulty, like 9.5 out of 10. I was struggling, but we got through it. And it is nice when you think of like it as a rep block, you can take some breaks. I was definitely taking a little bit of recovery in between each round so that I could go at each round with like my best foot forward, have the form right, and just get some good reps in. It is now 2 days later, it's Friday morning, and we are ready to wrap up week 1 with this 30-minute density training, week 1, day 3 by Andy Speer from May 15th, 2023. I did take a little sneak peek into this class, and it's full body again, and I see a lot of squats in my future. So let's go to the gym and knock out week 1. Another great class. I do think my legs are going to be sore tomorrow from the amount of squats I did, but it's a good thing. It means that we're really working. And this class was structured the same exact way the past 2 classes were, which no complaints. I love a predictable class. We started off with a 90-second warm-up, and then we started demoing the moves from our first 10-minute AMRAP set. And Andy said to grab medium and heavy weights, and I wasn't sure what to grab. And I ended up grabbing 15 and 20, which was too light for me, but it's hard to tell before you do it. And I feel like this week is the benchmark, and now next week I can really, really push. But this AMRAP was 6 dumbbell squats and then 4 squat jumps, which Andy also said you could just come up on your toes. And I did that instead. I really, really hate jump squats. I just do not find any value in them. But I do think that coming up on your toes does make it a little more difficult. And yeah, I'm happy doing that. So 4 squats with toe extensions and then 2 push presses. And I used 20 pounds for the dumbbell squats. We had them racked up. And then I used 15 for the squat jumps and 15 for the push presses. I think that I probably need to do 25 for the regular squats and then 20 for the squat jumps and push presses. It should have been a sign that I can do 15-pound just normal shoulder presses like fairly easy. And the fact that we were only doing 2 push presses, I definitely think I could have pushed up the weight there. And I ended up doing 10 rounds in the 10 minutes, and you're only supposed to get 8 or like aim for 8. So yeah, next week, catch me pushing up on weights, but it was in no means easy. And even Andy comments on that. He's like, even if you overshot the weight or undershot the weight, like you're still getting a workout in, you're still working for 10 minutes. And yeah, this was definitely not easy. So it felt good. And then we went into the second AMRAP, which we also demoed first. And this was an arm set. We did 6 neutral grip chest presses and 6 supinated rows. And I used 20 pounds for the chest presses and 15 pounds for the supinated rows, which again was too light. I ended up doing 12 rounds in the 10 minutes and we're only supposed to be aiming for 8. So I don't know, next week pushing up to 25 on chest presses and 20 for supinated rows sounds like it would be really hard. Like I did not feel like this felt easy. Specifically the supinated rows felt pretty good at 15, but we'll see next week because I did go way over the target reps. I think I just need to be prepared to like rep it out and then take longer breaks. I definitely took some breaks in these AMRAPs, but for the most part, I could keep going, which I think is a like sign that the reps are too light because doing 8 rounds in 10 minutes is not like super fast. It's less than 1 round a minute. So I just need to push the weight, but I feel like this was a good week and like now I know my benchmark and I can make adjustments based on that. I feel like it's hard to tell what you can do for 10 minutes until you try. I'm very excited for next week. Difficulty for today, definitely a little bit on the easier side because I chose lighter weights, but I really just didn't know. So I would give it like a 7 out of 10. Enjoyability, I'd give it like an 8.5 to 9 out of 10. I thought it was really enjoyable. We'll see as I, bump up on weight if I still find it enjoyable because it's going to get a lot harder next week. But yeah, I'm very, very excited. I feel like week 1 was really good and I'm really ready to push myself for week 2. It is now the following Tuesday. We had many days of a break from strength. It's finally getting nice in New York City. So I've taken a couple days, done some outside exercise, but now we're ready to start week 2. And the description is in week 2, you now have a goal to beat. Push the pace, lock in, and get ready to rep it out. So today's class is a 30-minute density training class, week 2, day 1 from May 22nd, 2023 by Andy Speer. And to my knowledge, this should be exactly the same as week 1, day 1, but we're pushing the weights today. So I'm gonna have to look at my notes I wrote last week, but I do remember that I went too light last week. So today should be a little bit harder. And I'm nervous for the push, but I'm also excited. So let's go to the gym and knock out this strength class. Another great class. It was exactly the same as week 1, day 1 as expected, which is perfect. I knew what to expect. I knew what I wanted to bump up in. So now that we kind of had the baseline from week 1, for the rest of the weeks, you essentially either push weight or you try to beat the number of rounds you did last week with the same weight. And if you beat the number of rounds, then you push weight the next week. So you just keep getting stronger and keep progressing no matter what. So today I knew that I wanted to push weight because last week I was over like the general number of rounds he said you should be aiming for. We started off this class like normal, 90-second warm-up, and then we demoed the moves, which for the first AMRAP was 6 deadlifts and then 6 shoulder presses. Last week I did 20 pounds for the deadlifts and 15 pounds for the shoulder presses and did 13 rounds, which was way too many. So I knew I needed to push this week. So I did 25 pounds for the deadlifts and 20 pounds for the shoulder presses. And I ended up doing 8 to 9 rounds. I'm like 75% sure I did 9 rounds, But man, during that 10-minute AMRAP and you're counting the reps and you're really tired, I kind of lost count of my rounds, but I'm pretty sure I did 9. If not, I did 8, but we're gonna write it down as 9 and just push myself more next week. So next week, the goal is to do the same weight, but more than 9 rounds. And 20-pound shoulder presses is very, very hard for me. I think the next way I could progress this would be going up to 30 pounds for the deadlifts, but we'll see. We'll see if I can beat my number of rounds next week. It was definitely a harder set than last week, but that's the purpose of this. And then the second AMRAP, which we did do demos ahead of time, was 6 front lunges on one side, 6 on the other side, and then 6 bent over rows. And last week I did 15 pounds for the front lunges and 20 pounds for the rows. And I did 9 rounds. And I pushed it up this week to 20 pounds for both. So just progress the front lunges because 15 pounds was definitely too light for that. And I ended up doing 8 rounds. I honestly think that maybe I should progress the rows next, but 20 pounds for the rows felt pretty hard. Honestly, for this whole 10-minute AMRAP, the grip strength was the biggest failure for me. Like I felt like I had to take breaks when I wasn't necessarily super tired because of my grip strength. There is like one trick where you can kind of like lean the dumbbells forward when you're doing the front lunges to alleviate some of the grip strength issues, but yeah, grip strength was definitely dying. I think especially because for the previous 10-minute AMRAP, I was also pushing weight more. So, it's just something that I have to get used to. Next week, I think that I'm supposed to progress number of rounds, but I actually might progress weight again because I think I'm still doing like too many rounds for this AMRAP, but we'll see. It was a good day 1 of week 2. And yeah, I mean, definitely a push today. Difficulty, I would give like an 8 out of 10. I think I could still push myself some more. I think I am hesitant to like go up in weights and I just have to commit. Like, honestly, I thought that the 20-pound shoulder presses and 25-pound deadlifts would be really, really hard. And it was hard, but I could do it. Like, you can take breaks during the 10-minute AMRAP, so it's not the biggest of deal. So I know I need to just like keep pushing myself on weight. But today felt good. Enjoyability, I would give like an 8.5 out of 10. I like these moves for the most part. The front lunge is probably my least favorite, but it always feels good to lift heavy and feel like you really got a lot out of the class. Andy was in a great mood. I love him. The music was popping. We were having a good time, but we were working hard. It is now Thursday morning. We had a nice break from strength yesterday, and we're ready to get back at it today for a 20-minute density training week 2, day 2 class by Andy Speer from May 22nd, 2023. And today is arms and core. It is a quickie, only 20 minutes, should feel good. I'm excited to push weight a little bit. So let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and knock out day 2. Another great class today. So since today was just a 20-minute class, we just had one 10-minute AMRAP. That was arms. So we did 8 bicep curls, 8 tricep kickbacks, and 8 reverse flies. And last week I did 15 pounds for the curls and kickbacks and 10 for the flies. And I only got 6 rounds, and Andy said to aim for 7 rounds. So the obvious choice today would have been to just try to do more rounds. But for some reason, when I started, I was like, let me just see if I can do 15 pounds for the reverse flies, because sometimes I can, like I have been trying to push to 15 pounds for those. And I started off in the demo moves and I was like, it feels a little bit hard, but let's keep pushing, because sometimes I feel like once I get into the AMRAP, I'm like, I wish I pushed a little bit harder. But I started with the 15 pounds for the flies in the AMRAP, and it just felt horrible after the first round. So then I went and got 10 pounds and just finished the AMRAP with the same weights that I did last week. I did not get that much farther. Last week I did 6 rounds. This week I did 6 rounds and then the bicep round of the next round. So like 6 1/3 rounds. But I will take the little bit of progress I can get. This is definitely a difficult AMRAP for me. My arms are probably my weakest, but it feels good. I could like see my tricep muscle, which I always think is amazing. We are really working. Even 15 pounds for the curls is quite the push for me. Like once you really get into it, I was moving slow, trying to keep good form, but it felt good. It was definitely a challenge. And then at the end, we have a 4-minute core burnout. We do 30 seconds of a forearm plank and then 30 seconds of tuck ups. We do that 4 times and then we're out. I do like today, it is quick, it's efficient. Like we got in there, we did the work, we got out. I like the little bit of core at the end, even though I'm not a huge fan of core. You know, I do acknowledge that it's important to work out. And yeah, enjoyability today, I would give like, 7.5 out of 10. I think these aren't my favorite moves. It is really cool to feel such a big pump in your arms though. So, I did enjoy it, but it was also hard. Difficulty, I would give like a 9 out of 10. I was definitely struggling, even more so before I went back down to the 10 pounds. I do feel like 10 pounds for reverse flies does feel light to me. I think that I would really thrive at this AMRAP if I had a 12.5 dumbbell weight, but we're working with what we have. So today was a good day and I'm excited to wrap up week 2 soon. It is now 3 days later, it's Sunday morning and I'm ready to wrap up week 2 of density training with a 30-minute density training, week 2, day 3 by Andy Speer from May 22nd, 2023. I remember from last week, day 3, that I did a bunch of extra rounds. Like I did not push the weights hard enough. So today we're really gonna have to bring it. It should be interesting, should make the class a little bit harder. But I'm excited, a push is always fun. So let's hit the mat and knock out the final class of week 2. That class was definitely one of the hardest classes I've ever taken. It's one of the classes that I have worked the hardest in. It wasn't impossible. We were just really, really pushing the weight in the class, which is the point of density training. So I am happy, but I can't even imagine like beating this in week 3 because today I really left it all out there. So we had our 2 different AMRAPs. The first AMRAP was 6 dumbbell squats, 3 squat jumps, and then 3 push presses. And last week I used 20 pounds on the dumbbell squats and 15 pounds on the squat jumps and push presses. I knew going in today I wanted to push weight on all of these moves, and I did. But man, it was not easy. So I did 25 pounds for the dumbbell squats, which I have done before. Like that is definitely a huge push in itself. And then 20 pounds for the squat jumps and push presses. I would say that all of that is like my absolute max weight I've ever done on all of these moves. I've never done more than that, and they've been really big pushes in the past. So doing it in a 10-minute AMRAP where you're doing it over and over again was a huge push. One thing to note is, and I did this last week as well, the squat jumps, I don't actually do squat jumps. I go on my toes, which Andy says you can do, and I just hate jump squats. Like I will never do them if the instructor gives me an out. So yeah, it was still a very, very challenging AMRAP though. I ended up doing 9 rounds, and I think the guidance was if you're doing over 8 rounds, you can push weight more. We'll see next week. I really don't know if I want to try to push weight or push rounds because at the end of this, I was very much dying. Like when you think about it, each round is only 12 reps. So doing 9 rounds in 10 minutes is very, very slow. But that's the point of density training. And this AMRAP, Andy does comment, it's like a very full body AMRAP, which I completely agree with. And the squat jump and push press really gets your heart rate up. So we were just going through it during that AMRAP, but it was so rewarding to finish and being like, wow, I did 9 rounds of, my highest weight for these exercises. And I made it. I got through it. Like 9 rounds is not bad at all. I'm very happy with that. And the fact that next week I'm going to either try to beat reps or weight is just crazy to me. I'm definitely seeing progress. My thing is I don't know how much of it is actually from this program versus like just Andy motivating you and pushing you to really up the reps and up the weight. I don't think I actually have gotten stronger since last week because this is the only strength training I'm doing. I just feel like having Andy be there and like really, really push you to push yourself is really valuable. So very happy with that AMRAP. And then the second AMRAP, thankfully, is a little less full body, but it was still just as hard. We did 6 neutral grip chest presses and then 6 supinated rows. Last week, I did 20 pounds for the chest presses and 15 pounds for the rows. And again, that was way too easy. I had way too many rounds. So again, I pushed weight on both of these moves, even though I was feeling very tired from the first AMRAP, and did 25-pound chest presses and 20-pound supinated rows. And I did 9 rounds as well for this AMRAP. And I was really going through it on this one as well. 25 pounds for the chest presses was really, really hard for me. It was a really big push. I feel like I might have done 25 pounds for chest presses like once or twice before, but that is not common for me. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next week either. I feel like maybe I could push up to 25 pounds for the supinated rows, but the 20 pounds felt very hard. And in combination with the 25-pound chest presses, like I was dying. Again, each round is only 12 reps, so 9 rounds is very slow. So then it was over and it felt very rewarding. I stretched out. I feel like I'm definitely going to be sore tomorrow. I still feel it in my arms from that last AMRAP, but it does feel really rewarding and cool to like know that I can do that. In the past, I like never would have guessed. I mean, you can see in week 1, I really underestimated my weights and I'm trying to correct it this week. And I still think that there's some more correction that can happen in week 3. But overall, I'm really, really enjoying this program so far. I am going to wrap up the video here and then start a new video for weeks 3 and 4. But I'm very excited. I feel like I've already seen a ton of progress and I'm very excited to see like what weeks 3 and 4 come in. And yeah, I've just really been enjoying these classes. For today, enjoyability, I would give it like a 9 out of 10. We were working really hard, but it is just so rewarding to like see the results. And I do like it because at the end of the day, it is very hard, but you're also completely pushing yourself. And like, I was definitely taking breaks. Like, you know, there is a lot of time to rest and like get back into the set. So it wasn't like it was impossible and I was having a bad time. It was more like, oh, I want to push myself to get as many rounds as possible. So maybe I am an AMRAP girly because I never had been before, but Andy's really changed my thinking on this one. And difficulty today, like, I don't know if I could say 10 out of 10, maybe 9.5 out of 10. Like I was really going through it. I was working up a sweat. My heart rate was spiking. And yeah, it was definitely a hard one. But I also feel like you go into these classes and it's like these classes, all it is 2 10-minute AMRAPs. That's it. I mean, the day 2 one is even less, but that's the max amount of work you're going to do, which at the end of the day is only 20 minutes. And I just know that I can like push myself really hard for those 20 minutes. So yeah, so far 10 out of 10 to this program. I've really, really been loving it. I am sad that it has taken me so many months of people telling me to take it to finally take it. But yeah, I just feel like it's really rewarding, really cool. And Andy is just the best. So let me know if you've taken this program. If so, what you think. You can clearly see I am a huge fan. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.